Where is the evidence of the Bible actually being reliable?
All right, let's see it.
We have more than 5,800 Greek manuscripts.
So two things here. We have 5,800 Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, which is not the Bible. It's just the New Testament. Second thing, this is not evidence of the reliability of the Bible or of the New Testament. This is evidence of the popularity of manuscripts of the New Testament. And also, what this content creator either doesn't know or is not telling you is that 94% of those 5,800 Greek New Testament manuscripts date to the 9th century CE or later. So 800 years or more after the composition of these texts, you see an explosion in Greek New Testament manuscripts. Here's a chart showing the distribution of the manuscripts according to text type or text family, however you want to label that. And as you can see, the Byzantine are the most numerous, and they become really numerous after the 9th century CE. So this is not evidence of the reliability of the text. This is evidence of the popularity of these manuscripts of the New Testament.
I mean, how do I know the Bible's message hasn't been edited and messed with? All of the ancient manuscripts are 99% identical. The Bible has been transmitted more accurately than any other ancient document.
So three things here. We're still saying Bible when we mean New Testament, which is only about 23% of the Bible. Second, I would agree that the texts of the New Testament are almost certainly the best preserved corpus of texts from the ancient world. Three, the 99% identical number is pure and utter nonsense. It is a misrepresentation of a guesstimate that itself is based on a gigantic assumption. Now, it is a misrepresentation because to say that the 5,800 ancient Greek manuscripts of the New Testament are 99% identical would mean that we have compared every last possible combination of two manuscripts where there is overlap in the verses that are preserved, and no combination of manuscripts diverges by more than a single percent. And this is nonsense because no one's ever done that. And also because if they did do that, there would be numerous manuscripts with far more than 1% of divergence. So that is a misrepresentation. Now, it's a misrepresentation of a guesstimate. And the guesstimate is that if we look at all the text critical decisions that go into our modern critical text, our modern reconstruction of the New Testament, which you can find in like the NA 28 or the UBS 4 or something like that, there is a consensus. Most text critical scholars are in agreement about 99 plus or 99.5 plus percent of the readings. In other words, in only 0.5%, less than 0.5% of the text critical decisions does there exist dispute or disagreement among text critical scholars. So that is a guesstimate that is very different from saying all of the manuscripts are 99% identical. Now, what is the assumption that that guesstimate is based on? It is the assumption that we have preserved somewhere in all of the manuscripts that are available to us every last reading as it came from the pens of the original authors of the New Testament. In other words, there's nothing that was written by an author of a New Testament text that has been lost, that is not preserved somewhere in the manuscript witnesses, even though there is a century or more separating the original composition and our earliest manuscript witness for the majority of the New Testament. I don't think that assumption is very likely. In fact, I think it is almost certainly not true, and there are a lot of text critical scholars that would agree with me, and I think if you put all of the text critical scholars who make that assumption in a group, overwhelmingly they're all going to fall on the apologist, confessional, devotional scholar side of the spectrum.
Well, that 1%, that might seem small to you, but isn't it? Of the less than 1%, no doctrinal teaching or command is in question. It's like one copy says Jesus Christ and the other reads Christ Jesus.
So two issues here. First, that assumption is carrying an awful lot of weight here because there are very good cases to make that there has been editing and redacting and additional composition and addition going on between the composition of the text of the New Testament and our earliest manuscript witnesses. There's a lot we don't know about how much changed from the moment those texts left the pens of their original authors and our earliest witnesses. Second thing, this is a bit of a non-starter because doctrines are not unilaterally subordinate to the text. Doctrines are derived from a negotiation between the texts and social circumstances and the needs and exigencies of the communities developing the doctrines. There's a difference between the text of the Bible and our interpretation of the text of the Bible. And the interpretation is always negotiable. And that is what develops the doctrine. Because we could find a first century manuscript of the Gospel of John tomorrow wherein Jesus says, God is greater than I am, which would directly contradict the doctrine of the Trinity. And that wouldn't change the doctrine of the Trinity. And we know that for certain because we already have Jesus saying that in the Gospel of John, but it was just interpreted away when the doctrine was developing, because the development of that doctrine took priority over what the text of the New Testament said. So again, the interpretation of the text is always negotiable. We can always reinterpret, we can always ignore what is problematic to the doctrines. And so to say that none of these variants affect doctrine is a non-starter. None of them could affect doctrine.
Well, wait, hold on. Surely there's some other excuse that I could think of so that I consciously and subconsciously believe that I'm not accountable to God.
This content creator would do well to get better educated about these claims that they're sharing and where they came from. And also, the fit for this video has been Romanes eunt domus, which obviously does not mean Romans go home.